Hello, everyone. My name is Thomas Rhyndress. I work for St. Joseph County in northern Indiana. After the Digital Governance Summit, I thought a lot of local entities would benefit from seeing how to set up KnowBe4 using an automated provisioning and single sign-on. And in this case, I'm going to use Azure because here in St. Joseph County, we are an Azure shop. But if you use Google, um, if you use Okta, if you use Duo, all of these will support the same setup. It may be a little bit different, and I'll provide some links to KnowBe4's website to help walk through those setups, but all of them are about the same. So at the beginning, I like to cover some acronyms just to get them out of the way so everyone knows what they are. First, I wanted to start with identity provider, or IDP. The identity provider in this case is what's providing that identity, and that's going to be Azure, which is now called Entra. Um, So next is going to be the service provider, and the service provider is the application that we're signing into, and that's going to be KnowBe4. This will work with other applications as well. If you wanted to link to something like WebEx or another application that will support this as well. So next is going to be single sign-on, and single sign-on is just user authentication using a single set of login credentials. MFA, multi-factor authentication, something you have, something you know, and something you are. So something you have is going to be that time-based one-time password on your cell phone. Something you know is going to be your password, and then something you are, which is less commonly used, is going to be your biometrics. SAML, security assertion markup language. It's a form of single sign-on specific for web applications. I like to use SAML because you're logging into your identity provider. Your identity provider then sends a certificate to your service provider saying that you are authorized to sign in. And then there is SCIM, which is System for Cross-Domain Identity Management, and that is the auto provisioning piece that we're going to look at today. All of this seems really complicated initially, but it's going to just be a few fields that we copy and paste. So first, on the account settings page of KnowBe4, we're going to go to user provisioning. And initially, I'm going to go ahead and revoke this token for this demo, and I will recreate it afterwards, so it's a different token. Over in Office 365, on the left-hand side, you'll want to click Identity under Admin Centers. Once the identity page loads, on the left, you'll click Applications, and then Enterprise Applications. At the top here, we want to click on New Application, and then we can just search KnowBe4. And down here at the bottom, these two symbols actually represent SAML and the SCIM auto provisioning. So if you recognize those symbols later, and you can see that over here, it supports single sign-on and automatic provisioning. I am just going to call this demo, as we already have a configuration set up, but for this, I'm just going to call it demo. We will create it. Takes a couple of seconds to create. So once it's created, on the left-hand side here, we're going to start under provisioning. And on the left again, we're going to select provisioning. We will hit the drop down and hit automatic. And then back on the KnowBe4 page, we want to copy this tenant URL. And we will paste that in the tenant URL on the Azure side. And then we want to generate this token. And we'll copy this and paste this as well. We can hit the test connection. And then in the top right, you can see a green check mark indicating that we successfully connected, so we can hit save. Once we hit save, we need to actually go to overview and start the provisioning. Once the provisioning is started, back on the provisioning page, we extend the settings tab, and we want to hit this drop down and select sync all users and groups. And then we'll save that again. This will allow all the users to sync, so you don't have to worry about adding a user every time you have a new one start. So what's nice is when you disable a user, it'll also disable that user in KnowBe4, and that'll save your license on the KnowBe4 side, and you don't have to log in to do that manually. When you add a user, it auto syncs to KnowBe4, so you don't have to go and manually enter that. So now we want to go and set up SAML. SAML is a little bit more complicated, but we're going to go back to the main page. We're going to select single sign-on and select SAML here in the center. Once SAML is selected, we are going to want to select a few things here. On the KnowBe4 side, on the left-hand side, we'll go to account integrations and then SAML. So we need the identity provider single sign-on target URL and the cert fingerprint. And that cert fingerprint is actually right here called thumbprint. So we can just copy this here. And we come over here and we paste that there. The identity provider single sign-on target URL is down here in the bottom. We hit the copy button and come back over here and paste that there. Now on the SAML's configuration on the Azure side, we need to hit this edit button. The entity ID identifier is already pre-filled as the KnowBe4. If you need to, you can hit the generate unique entity ID, and that will create an identity ID that is different from the default KnowBe4. Then we need to add a reply URL, which is going to be this SSO callback. So we just copy this and paste this over here. Oh, sorry. We paste that in this field here. The sign-on URL is here, the SSO sign-in URL, and we paste that one there. So once that is completed, we hit save, which takes a couple of seconds. And now we have single sign-on configured. That's all there is to the auto provisioning and the single sign-on.